I'm going to teach you one of the best tricks in music production, and believe me, from today on, your workflow is going to improve a lot. Today, we are going to learn how to finish our songs much faster, and in this way, once and for all, be able to finish that song you've been working on for months. I'm Aklow, a hard and industrial techno DJ and producer, and without further ado, let's get started. In art, references are usually used to ground an idea and be able to materialize it better. For example, in cinema, reference images are often used to work on the cinematography of a film. And the same thing happens in painting. Often, references are used to guide the process and reach the final result. And music is no exception. We, as music producers, can also have references to ground our ideas and, in that way, have better clarity of everything we are doing. Using references can help us better materialize our product and, in the end, have a great result. And the type of reference we are going to use today is called a structural reference. Inside Ableton, we are going to create an audio track, and we will name this audio track Structural Reference. And on this audio track, we are going to place a song that we like. In my case, I am working on an industrial techno or vodka song, and I dragged in a song that is at the same BPM as my project. It is highly recommended to use a song that is at the same BPM as the one I am working in. But if I wanted to use a song that isn't at the same BPM as my project, there's no problem at all. We can still apply this technique. As we can see in this reference song, here we have some very well marked spaces. Those spaces we are seeing are breaks. These breaks or rests help give the song a certain dynamic. And I can also start marking different moments within the project here to start orienting myself. I'm going to right click on this area, I'm going to add a locator, and I'm going to call this intro. If we follow the structure, we can see that the intro starts here at bar 1 and ends here at the 10th second or at the beginning of bar 9. Here I could place another locator and I could call this part end of intro. So mentally, I already know that in this whole area, I'm going to focus on working on the intro of my track. As we can see, here in the reference, we have a first phrase that starts from bar 9 to practically bar 17. This locator, for example, is called end of intro, but I could also call it verse 1. And I know that my first verse will start at bar 9 and will end at bar 17, where verse number 2 would start again. This way, I already know that my first verse will start from bar 9 to bar 17, and at bar 17, verse number 2 will start. And here comes something very important. And that is that you are surely thinking that perhaps it is simply a matter of copying the exact structure of the reference song. But let me tell you, that is not the case. I can also customize my reference and adapt it to my style. For example, let's suppose that within this first verse, I wanted to generate some break or some variation different from what the reference shows me. What I can do is select that space where I want to generate that break. For example, here, halfway through measure 12 and where measure 13 is going to start here. Here I selected this space, and what I am going to do is deactivate the clip here. And visually, this will indicate to me that in this space, I am going to generate a break. And I can also locate it. I can add a locator and call this part a break. So visually, I already know that in this space, I'm going to make the kick and the bass disappear to generate that break within my song. And in this way, I will be able to start readapting the reference to my style. Remember that it's also about us being very creative. And this is also a way to give even more personality to our songs. Before continuing, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel. It's completely free. On this channel, you'll find music production content that will surely help you improve your workflow, your creative process, and you'll also learn things you might not have known before. And remember to also leave a good like, which is greatly appreciated. That said, let's continue with the video. For example, I'm going to keep marking different points within the reference so you can see how my structural reference ends up looking. A few minutes later, as you can see from out here with a zoom out, it looks like total chaos. You can see a bunch of lines, like a bunch of cuts too, but don't worry. When we zoom in, we'll also be able to see those different moments with greater clarity. And I already know that in those moments, I have more or less an idea of what I want to generate within the song itself. For example, here we have a few verses. We have breaks, verses again. Here further on, I focused on generating some breaks that I wanted to establish within my project, and I also marked some breaks. You can generate those markers to guide yourselves better within the song's own structure, or you can also guide yourselves visually by looking at the general waveform of the track. In this case, as we can see, I marked some pieces. At some other moments, what I did was generate some breaks as well, and practically here, what I also did was cut and duplicate some moments. We can also do that. In this way, what are we doing? As I told you at the beginning, we are also personalizing our reference. In this way, when we export the song, it won't be a visual copy-paste of the reference, but rather our song will already have its own structure as well. A few minutes later, for example, I was working on this idea and I want you to see how it turned out for me. This whole area, from bar 1 to bar 17, I established as an intro. And starting from bar 17, I begin to shape my project based on the structural reference. It is very important that you have this channel muted, otherwise the reference will also play along with your track. The main advantage we will have by working this way is that we will have greater creative clarity to be able to establish the different elements we have in our song. For example, when we come up with an idea for a track, we can usually do it with a loop, that is, a 1-minute idea, a 30-second idea, for example. But it often happens that they just stay there as ideas and we don't know how to distribute each element. In this way, we will already know where to place the different elements we have in our song. We will already know where we are going to have breaks. We will know where the drops will be, and we will know, for example, how long those moments will last, how long my build-up will last, how long my second drop will last, and so on and so forth. I insist it is very important. Remember to turn off the reference channel so that the song doesn't play. The only thing we are interested in is the full waveform of the song. If you like this video, I ask that you please leave a good like. This helps me a lot and also makes YouTube recommend this video to more people who might need it. Remember that if you have any questions, you can write them to me in the comments. And if you want us to talk about a specific topic as well, remember to write that in the comments too. That way I'll get to work and bring you that content, which will surely be quite useful for you as well. Share this video with any producer you think might need it too, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Here you will find a bunch of tutorials that will help you become a better producer. And remember to also turn on the notification bell so that YouTube notifies you every time I upload a new video. I invite you to listen to my music and follow me on my other social media channels. I am Aklow and I'll see you in the next video.